Happy Tanae. And we are in our second season, um, our hair story. And I am interviewing this season the master pioneers of the natural hair industry. Today, oh, and before we even get started with any of the show, I just want to ask you guys to take a minute, subscribe, and click like, share, and all those things. Thank you very much. Also, I want to let you know that last week we did a giveaway for the first person to subscribe to YouTube channel that day. And it was for this cute little shirt here. Mm-hmm. And we even cut it up on the sleeves, make it real cute. So the winner of that giveaway is Debbie Bitneri. So, congratulations, girl. This is your shirt, and we will be in touch with you so we can get your shirt to you. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing. Not only is she the mastress of the Master Pioneer Awards, she is also a 2015 recipient of the Master Pioneer Awards. She is a Brooklyn native, an educator, now residing in Scottsdale. She is the owner of Hair Locks Natural Hair Salon. Please help me welcome you guys, Arlette Pender, to the show. Welcome to the show, Arlette.
I'm here. You have an applause.
Yes, definitely have an applause for you. So,
Thank you.
I just want to start out by going back to the beginning.
Okay.
And just tell us, when did you start this journey of being a braider or a natural hair care stylist or a natural hair care artist? When did all of this begin for you?
Okay, so thanks for having me on, guys, and thanks for the applause. That was really cute. So for me, it's like the same story that a lot of stylists have. We start braiding at 12. So for me, it was around 12 years old. I lived in Brooklyn and I developed my braiding skills on my doll. No one has ever taught me physically how to braid. I just knew that there were three strands of hair and you had to do something with it. So I taught myself how to braid. And I did it on my doll. And then I taught myself how to cornrow. And how I did that is I would use the young girls in my neighborhood on my block to practice on the stoops of Brooklyn. And that's where it started. As it developed into a business, while I was braiding on the stoops of Brooklyn, there was a train station that was on the corner of my block. So a lot of the parents would walk down my block to go home, and they would see me braiding on the stoop. So then they asked me to braid their daughter's hair to go back to school in September, right? So and at the same time, I was in a dance class. I went to a dance school called Bernice Johnson, and my mom was paying $3 a week for me to attend this dance class. But I wanted to be a pro. I wanted to be in the pro squad, okay? So I tried out on my own, and I came back and told my mom, well, it's going to cost $12 a week for me to attend this class. And she said, I can't afford it. So that's when braiding and making money integrated for me. So at that point, I started charging $12 to do the kids' hair. And then I just was like partying and doing like intricate designs. Honestly, creativity is definitely in your soul and your spirit, because I can't tell you how I got or became a creative. It was just that for me, and that's the beginning. I started charging $12. And as I started making my money, I never wanted to go to dance class again. I then wanted to go shopping. It was like, hey, dancing, didn't even go back. I started to go shopping, which helped my mom because she didn't have to buy me things. So 12, 13, 14, 15, that's where my career started. So I call myself a businesswoman since I was 12 because I was actually making money. And I had to buy my dad's grease, and I had to buy my combs, and I had to buy my beads and my rubber bands. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
So
right.
there you
Making your
mm,
investments into the business there. Yes.
absolutely not even being cognizant that that's what I was doing.
Uh-huh.
Actually, never really thought. I've always wanted to be a school teacher. So then it still coincided because in my career I became an educator.
Right, right,
That's still a
right.
school teacher.
Oh, definitely. It's a lot more to learn in that chair and than there is in life. You know what I mean? It's a
Right.
preparation to go out in the
It,
world. That
it
that's
is.
that's interesting because I've always thought that all these hours that we have been sitting behind the chair, and creating these real intimate relationships with women and listening to all of the things that they're facing when they have to go out into their job in this corporate world and with their hair natural and just the feedback, and then even like going into the whole era of locks and how different that was, in that beginning stage where we call the teenage stage where it's all like crazy, and really having to counsel people through that, and just preparing them to go out in the world and be strong in who they are and be confident in that beauty. So that education that you're providing is priceless. So I'm
Mhm.
glad that you was braiding on the stoop, girl.
I was bred on the stoop, and I've always been community because my mom was a school teacher. She was actually a school teacher.
Mm,
So a lot of the children in the neighborhood, they were taught by her. So I was Miss Pender's daughter.
mm,
So I always, like, as I was coming up, um, always gathered the children and made something positive for them, even if it was barbecuing and cooking, just to give them an opportunity to be accepted
mhm,
in their community for who they were, not
mhm.
judging, not saying you should do this, you should do that. Everybody came on my stoop. Either they wanted their hair braided, or they wanted some food, or they wanted me to give them some advice about something. So that, and I'm still like that. I'm a
Mhm.
great supporter. Like my colleagues and my friends, I love, love, love to support. So that whole education, it still entangles itself with community and helping, like you said, develop people's self-esteem and the love for what they see when
Mhm.
they look at themselves. Hair, eyes, nose, lips,
Yes,
curves,
yes.
shape, all of that included,
Mhm. Absolutely.
and that's what happens in the chair in the salons. That's where most women get that from.
Mhm.
Us.
Us, yes, definitely.
Hmm.
Yep. So when did you open your first salon?
So I opened my first salon. Let me think. I honestly can't remember the year. I know it was in the 90s. I opened my salon on DeKalb Avenue and Bedford Avenue in Brooklyn. And it was first called Hair Jewels.
Mm.
And it was in the back of a barbershop that had no heat. I didn't know that when I rented the space. He rented the space to me. I paid and it had no heat, but I had hair dryers. It had electricity. I
Mm.
had hair dryers and I would run the hair dryer and people would come and get their hair done. And then it closed. So then I moved to St. James and Oh my goodness. Lord, I can't remember. I'm getting older. I know I don't look like it,
Of course not.
but I'm getting older. I'll come to it. But it was
Okay.
Hair Ujama, Ujama Hair Network. And it was on St. James. Oh my gosh, I can't remember but I moved in there and I rented a chair in a barbershop.
Mhm.
And at that point, natural hair in Brooklyn was like the thing. There was
Mhm.
Tendrils, Diane Bailey. There was Michonne Michon. There was Marion Council George, who you had on last week.
Mhm.
Um, all of us were like in the same area. When I went to this salon, Ujama Hair Network, the owner put up a sign that said hair locks done here.
Mm.
Guess what? It was right beneath owner's locksmiths.
Oh wow.
It was right beneath. So that was kind of like what? Someone
Right.
else, because owner and her locksmithing method is phenomenal and
Mhm.
known throughout the industry as
Yes. Yes.
innovator. And there I
Absolutely.
was, twisting locks right underneath. And that's where I got the name hair locks from. And
Mm.
that's actually where my career started in terms of industry.
Mhm.
Because um, one day, one of the party promoters came in and I braided her hair. And after that, everything just took off and I was being flown everywhere. And
Mm.
it was just an amazing experience that I really wasn't personally and financially ready for
Mhm.
because I came from one financial aspect, which was taking care of my children and getting my money every day, to
Mhm.
going to do celebrities where I was getting paid a whole lot of money,
Mhm.
and that was different. So
Right.
and I had more finances to buy more things,
Mhm.
and then I got stuck in that.
I
So
see.
at that point, I had to leave because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And let me tell you, that's common in this industry as well, where you start to make money and you think that that's going to last forever. So you have to know that when you intake your finances, you have to hold on to them
Mhm.
because you never know when that industry you only get 15 minutes of fame
Mhm.
because somebody else is coming along behind you. And when somebody else comes behind you, then the celebrities, they gravitate to that person, and
Mhm.
then there you are. And if you don't keep your clientele and your customer service and your business aspect and your money intact, you can fall into a deep hole, and then you have to climb yourself out of, which I had
Mhm.
to do also.
Mm.
So how I got out is Michonne, I mentioned her. Her
Mhm.
salon was right down the block. So she had just opened up her new salon on Fulton Street. So I went in and I asked her, hey, are you just opening? And I didn't even know her at that point in time.
Mm.
So are you opening? I said, I could freelance for you. So I said, I rent a chair down the block, but I could freelance for you if you need anybody to do these styles. I could do it. So she said, just one moment. And she actually went in her salon and got a book, a magazine, opened it up and said, could you do this? And I said, I sure can. So she said, are you sure? I said, yes, I did that.
Oh
And she was
wow.
out because I had published, right? So then Michonne and I worked together. I freelanced at her salon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I never knew
it was
that.
Yeah, it was a big connection. It was a great connection. How we all knew each other or got to know each other in this industry in the beginning when natural hair started taking off with locks, twists, braids, etc. And caring for natural hair.
You guys in Brooklyn always had this really wonderful sisterhood bond. I just loved it. And when I was young, like young, like 17, following behind my mother, 16, we would go everywhere. But my favorite place to go was always Brooklyn. I just loved y'all, and so much confidence. I don't think that I've ever really seen that in the natural hair care industry. And I've worked in the cosmetology industry and the natural hair care industry, and kind of almost on separate streams, you know what I mean? But the natural hair care industry always had this sisterhood, and without technology or any of that, before all of that, really were able to embrace each other from all around the world, which I just thought was so amazing, especially now when you see what we're living in now and how they really pulled that off.
And what was interesting to me, between then and now, is, we weren't in competition, like, price
Mhm.
wise. It was more or less, Diane did locks for 125, let's just say. Marion did locks for 125. Michonne did locks for 125. So when I came into their area, I made sure that I was consistent there so that there'd be no competition.
Mhm.
So I wasn't trying to lower my price. Owner upstairs from me was doing locks for 125.
Mhm.
So I had to do my locks for 125 to stay consistent, because then there was integrity in the industry,
Mhm.
right? So even if Diane's books were full, or Marion's books were filled, or Michonne's books were filled, or my books were filled, we were able to refer clients that we couldn't to them, and it was no love lost, because it didn't mean we were taking the client. It's just that you were full and you wanted someone with that same integrity to prefer your client to for
Right.
that specific time. And that's
Exactly.
what I loved about it, because it was a community. Whether we personally knew each other or not, we knew that we all existed in that surrounding area.
Mhm.
So we all knew who was published, who was in Essence, who was in the Natural Hair magazine, who was doing a video shoots or whatever. And that's where we became sisters and formed our sisterhood at that time.
Yeah.
So we weren't like doing things for a lesser price to gain the clientele. We just made
Right.
sure the integrity of our work was the same.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
And it was beautiful. I really, enjoyed how we brought the industry together back then. It was so much love and so much embracing and so much sharing. So I'm still like in awe to even be a part of that. You know what I mean?
So today, let me just segue into a story, okay?
Okay,
Because I
okay.
think when we were all at the inaugural Master Pioneer Award, when I saw you and your mom and Nadra at the award ceremony afterward, do you remember I came up to you? Do you remember
I
that?
do remember. Did we take a
Okay,
picture?
so
Which-
this is how strong the bond what that we're talking about is, because in Arizona, there were two of you guys' clients, Charlie and Darlene.
oh yeah, I remember that.
Remember them? They
Yes.
came, they moved to Arizona, and they found me, right? They came, I do consultations, so they had to come in for a consultation. And they said that they was getting their hair done, and who started their locks was Amazon and her two daughters. Right? So I said, I know Amazon. I had never met Amazon before in my life, but because of the industry, we knew who was where. So
Hmm.
I said, I know Amazon. She's a colleague of mine. I don't know her personally, but I do know her work. And so when I went, their locks were long.
Mm.
at that time. And so they said, what we really want to keep is the little curl at the end of the lock because that was a signature of Amazon, right? So I said, fine. And then they became my clients for a long, long time. And so when I saw you guys, I had to give you guys the story of how well connected we are with integrity, love, respect, and a good work ethic, customer service, business, because what you gave them in your salons there, that's what they intended to get anywhere else they went. So in order to be completely comfortable, they had to get that same uh,
Wow.
customer service, healthy hair care, you know, consistency on top of, even though they said I was quicker than you guys because they said y'all took care of the whole lot. But I just generally move quickly. You know what I mean? So it was that kind of love, and I would never forget that because that was our connection, whether we knew it or not. So I had to let you guys know that that's how
Oh.
we became connected in the
Mm.
industry. Yeah.
Right, right.
Right.
Yes. Oh, that's it. That's so beautiful because I now that you mentioned that, I remember those women. And I remember when they were leaving and we were trying to find them somebody in Arizona to go to, from the network, which I really think we still need to have more of that. I live in Hawaii and it's very transient. So I have clients that live here for very short periods of time and oh, I'm going so and so. Do you know somebody? And I sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't, depending upon where they're
Right.
going. So it's interesting how like that networking, and how you feel comfortable when they tell you, "Oh, I'm going to this person now," and I'm like, "Oh, we know our lad. Oh, she good, good,
Right.
good, good." You know what I
Right.
mean? It's really cool. When did you move to Arizona?
I moved in Arizona in 2005.
Mm. And what made you decide to move there?
Long story. So I'm going to make a long story short because if y'all know me, y'all know I like to talk. So uh, I moved here because as my career was like doing well in New York, I had a great career in New York. And like I said, I didn't always do what I was supposed to do with my money, and I found myself homeless.
Mm.
So I had a little girl. My youngest daughter at that time was 5 or 6 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I homeschooled her because in my career I moved around a lot. And I didn't have like the support system. My mother had passed, so I didn't have the support system that I needed to take care of her. So I homeschooled her and I actually took her around with me if I could.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point in time, I wasn't really doing great. So my parents, my father and his wife, who moved out here prior, they lived out here for all of almost 40 years.
Mm.
They came to New York and they were looking for me. And when they found me living in this. I rented a room for my daughter and myself, and I still call that homeless, even though I had a roof, but it wasn't my roof and it wasn't a whole roof. So anyway, thank
Right.
God for a roof. I'm going to thank God for a roof,
Right.
And so they decided to bring Jewel here until I found a school for her
Mm-hmm.
because I was looking for a specific school for her because she was reading when she was 5. She was reading on a sixth grade reading level because
Mm.
she was homeschooled. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want them to skip her because she was so young. I wanted them to take her. I wanted a good school for her. So long story short, I found the school and she came back to New York. And Tanae, when she came back to New York, she did not want to stay there. She was like, "Why don't we live here? Have you
Mm.
seen Arizona, mommy?" She said the mountain and the cacti. She was like, oh, it smells here, mommy. Why don't we live here? I want to live in Arizona. And of course, me being the Brooklyn girl, right? Girl, please. You go, this is where we live. You go, every day she complained. Every day she complained. She complained. She was reading the writing on the walls, and she, they had the obscenities on the wall, and she was sounding them out, reading them very clearly. And I was like, she was like, you haven't seen Arizona. You should see the sky and the cacti. You don't say cactuses. She was giving me all this information. Mind you, I had been here before, but I wasn't interested in living here because I'm a New Yorker. But she filled my head so much that I believe that God gave me, that He was giving me the message to leave. This was your window out. So I called my parents and I told them, I said, I'll be there the end of May. I got here June 1st, 05, and never looked back. Everything had, girl, I had to build this business from nothing because I knew nobody. I had to get a job. I had to work a job and my salon. But God, it's such a blessing to start from nothing. I left everything in New York. I just had my daughter and my son. My son didn't stay. Joelle was 5 years old. 15 years later, today, she's 21, and my books are full. People are still calling me now, trying to get in to have their hair serviced by me, just by the grace of God. So it has nothing to do with me. I know that because I could mess some stuff up. So God has given me, Arizona has actually taught me in business because you have to be business here. So you have to have all your things in order to run a business here. So thank God. That's what made me move here. I don't regret it. Things are different than they are in New York, but the quality of life is amazing, you know? And I'm very happy here and very I'm successful, you know? And I mean I could pay my bills and I have my business. It runs good for 15 years, but my mental and my spiritual and my actual joy is through the roof. I can't ask for anything more.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I can definitely relate to that being from Chicago and now living in Hawaii. Because it does give you a different quality of life. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I feel relaxed and wholesome, you know?
I do. I do understand. I do understand that you're not in a hurry for everything, and you know that things are going to happen for you in time, and it's just a wonderful reset.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful reset personally,
Right, right.
so I don't feel like I'm in a rat race or I have to chase. In the beginning, I felt like I had to chase because I was starting over. And not only that, I think that when I came here, I wasn't the only natural hair salon here, but I might have been the most experienced natural hairstylist here.
Okay.
Just due to my education, my experience. So I wasn't accepted that well in the beginning because I knew my value and my worth. And at one point in time, the stylist here was doing twisting locks for $35 and $50. No, thank you. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
So I definitely stayed in my lane, and it was a tough climb. But like I said, they say that if you give it to God and take your hands off of it, He'll guide you, and that's what I did. And I stayed consistent, even if I needed to get another job. I got another job to keep my salon open.
Yes. I hear you. I totally, yeah. Because I went through that too here, moving. And I mean, for me, it wasn't so many of us, you know what I mean, to really do that. So I did have to open up. which I was already opened up before because I've, had the experience to be doing hair all over the world as well.
Right.
Um, but of course, I didn't know anybody, and I just kind of said, "This is what I know what to do." You know what I mean? So I just kind of made it happen, and over the years, you know, being somewhere new, you kind of redefining yourself and who you are. And I still do other things, For me, I've got neck injuries and back injuries, so I'm trying to not be behind the chair as much to save my mobility. But yeah, I can totally relate to just redefining who you are and starting from the beginning when you came from all of this other amazing stuff, and now you're like, okay, girl, don't nobody know who you are. What you doing? So,
Right. The important part of that is you really, a lot of people see we're fortunate and blessed because we know our passion.
mhm,
A lot of people really don't know their passion. And not only on that side, but there's another side to know your passion, but being afraid to do it because a lot of times there's a misconception with me. People say, "Oh, I let you so confident and you seem like you're not afraid." I'm always afraid. I'm
mhm,
always nervous. I was nervous while I was putting on my little eyebrows to get on here to make sure that I said something that made sense.
mhm,
As you mentioned, when I'm the MC at the Master Pioneer Awards, I stand behind that podium and I'm shaking, but what happens is, even when you're afraid, you still have to push forward
mhm,
because you have to give yourself the opportunity to see through and past your fears. It's just like a hurdle. Each hurdle you got to get over. If you
mhm.
knock the hurdle down, there's still going to be one in front of you, and
That's
you got to
right.
keep clearing the hurdle. You have to keep clearing the hurdle, and that's what gives you what you're made of. But at no point are you or I, or maybe even you, are so confident that you know this is going to work.
Oh,
You're
yes.
really taking a chance. And
Mhm,
that's what entrepreneurs, business people, or people who go into business for this, they're always taking a risk. So
mhm.
that whole theory that you work for yourself and you can make your own hours because you're never off.
Mhm,
Everything is
mhm,
relative.
mhm,
You don't make
mhm.
your own hours. You think you do, but you're going to work because you have to make the money to make everything move in
Right,
your life.
right.
So it's not, I don't want to ever make anybody feel like, yes, Coffee and Arlette and Amazon and even your sister Nadra, who I love, and I'm an affiliate to her for her product because I love you guys. That's how I support. You know what I mean? I'm going to stand, I'm going to be a soldier and I'm going to be present,
Yes.
because of integrity, because of all of that. But I don't want people to think because you actually see something that that person is not afraid because there's
Mhm.
a degree of fear that you're going to have and you need it in order, you need to play on that
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
fight through it in order to become successful. You can't, and success doesn't always mean money.
Mhm.
Success means progress.
Yes, yes. That's right.
So guys, if you're out there, anybody listening, please know that if you want to do something, to do it. At
Yes.
least try it. And don't live your life without trying it because you would always say, I should have done it because somebody else is going to do it.
Mhm.
So it might as well be you.
Yep. That's right.
Right?
That's right. Oh, yes. Thank you for that. I think now, well, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, like how this pandemic has really given us an opportunity to do all of these things, for ourselves, within us, to say, oh, I've been thinking about this project. Now I have time to do it. Let's kind of just dive into ourselves. And for me, at least, and a lot of other people in the world, I think it has given us an opportunity to look within and kind of get to a point where there's so much uncertainty in the world. It's like, well, what do you got to lose? What do you got to lose? Because we don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. So if you're going to do it, you better do it today. That's not been my message to my friends during this time where we're making plans. I'm like, look, you see how we doing right now? We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So let's do it right now. Let's do it right now.
Right,
And even with
right.
this show, it came out of that kind of conversation. It's like, oh, you should, you should, you should. And I was like, oh, I should. Okay, I'm going to do it tomorrow.
Because tomorrow, you still think you have tomorrow. No matter what's going on, you
Right.
still counting on God to wake you up tomorrow. Because
Yes.
tomorrow is the saving grace sometimes. I get it, I
Yeah.
get it. And so, same for me. The only thing I can say is that when I came here, I was at such a broken state of disappointing myself
Mm-hmm.
that when I came here and I didn't know anybody, I reintroduced myself to myself. So I got
Mm-hmm.
my own core together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My spirituality, my confidence in what I see when I look in the mirror, how I
Mm-hmm.
feel. I got over and accepted all the stuff that I did in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and I took my responsibility for that. So I had to do that in order to get where I am now. But what the pandemic has done for me was all my life I've been a hairstylist, a mom, an educator. It all progressed from being on that stool.
Mm-hmm.
But after having children, I haven't been Arlette.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hair locks. I'm this, and you see on the picture, I have this two-tone fro, which became my logo,
Oh, yes.
right? My signature. Even when we were at the industry convention, your mom was there, and I had braids in my hair. She didn't even know who I was. She didn't know. And she said, I was looking for your fro.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because even when I walked the streets, if I was in the airport, somebody would come up to me about that fro. And I love the fro, don't get me wrong. And when I was walk the streets in Brooklyn, women would come out of their salons and say, Hair Locks, I follow you. I don't even know all of my followers. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
they're not before me. And I'm not this Instagram, I do it
Right.
because it's the platform, but that's not where we come from. We come from magazines. You just take
Mm-hmm.
a picture and it's out there, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
when I realized that I didn't get any peace, what really made me realize it is I was sitting at a Thanksgiving table with my family and they was talking to me about hair. And I was like, I'm eating. Like, come on. Like, hair and food don't mix, but okay.
Right.
So then, I'm in my 50s, and I started saying, my children, Joelle is 21, my granddaughter is 19. All of my children are grown. So
Mm.
I heard Nadja, when she had her acceptance speech, said she retired her mother. You're retired? I'm like, what? I'm like, listen, I want to sit down. You know, it was my running joke on the stage that night
Ooh.
because I thought it was so beautiful, but it just kept making me um think about what would Arlette do now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And in the industry that I love and I have so much passion for separates me from who I am. So the pandemic has gotten me more on the side of, okay, Hair Locks by Outlet Natural Hair Care Salon, that's what I do. Hair Locks, what everybody knows me for, that's what I do. But Arlette is who I am.
Mhm.
And at some point, when I hear the young girls and the millennials online talk about self care and we have to have a balance, I was like, what kind of balance? Because we didn't have no balance. We were in the salons all day long. Our kids were in the salons. We ate there. We did everything there. And I'm like, what kind of balance are y'all talking about? You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
So now the pandemic has made me aware of, you know what? You could still do this business, but you don't have to physically do this business
Mhm.
anymore. We're in a position where we create a standard
Mhm.
for the business. That's why I appreciate being a master pioneer,
Mhm.
because if we're gonna have our own award ceremony, then we should wear that as a badge in
Yes.
this, because that means that we have trailblazed something.
Yes.
Our entire industry. These people that's coming up are our nieces and our
Mhm.
grandchildren. Because
Mhm.
they ain't never gonna be here.
Right, right.
I don't know what they do with those basic standard styles, twists, braids, feed-ins, all of that stuff. We have been doing that back in the 80s, the
Mhm.
90s. This
Mhm.
is 2020. They talk about balance. Okay, it's a good perspective to balance, because we didn't understand that. So
Right.
now at my age, the pandemic has said, you know what? If we didn't understand Amazon, not your mom, but the whole
Right.
Amazon, they
.com.
were in,
Mhm.
these people are in place for this. The millennials, they believe in having 6 to 8 streams of income. They write books, they have classes, they have product lines, and they're in the salons. They got babies, they married, they buying
Mhm.
houses, all kinds of stuff. I say, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing, because it's never too late.
That's right. That's right.
Because when I come to Hawaii, 'cause Hawaii is my place, my personal place to come and sit on a beach and do nothing. I don't want to
Yes.
talk to nobody. I don't want to do nothing. I just want to hear the waves, and I want to go sit in my hotel, and I want to sit, my drink. I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to do nothing. But I'll have my computer, keep taking orders
Mhm.
while I'm sitting on the beach. And that to me is what the pandemic gave me, to be creative in another way, still
Yes.
in my lane,
Mhm.
but taking my place. Because listen, I can't even post my pictures as quick as these young girls posting the pictures of locks. And do you see how they are styling locks? That some of that stuff is amazing.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yes.
it's good for them, but we as master pioneers, we have to create the standard. We have to make sure that they are following the guideline that we started, because this actually is our industry. I believe that.
Mhm.
Nobody can
Mhm.
tell me
Mhm.
otherwise. This is our
Absolutely.
industry. We were the ones that did the work, the groundwork, and everything to put it out there for these young people to eat.
Yes, that's
But
right.
But that's why I appreciate these platforms like your show, and celebrating the master pioneers, which you are one too. You don't
Yes.
say that you're master pioneer, copy, but you are.
Okay, I'm gonna
You know,
change that. The next show, I am going to start with that preface. Yes.
yes. And also on your social media platforms, you should put that there. Because you see, when Anita thanked me, she said, I wear it like a badge, and I do. Because let me
Mhm.
tell you something, when you go to school for so many years to be a physician, they doctor whatever they are
That's
for the rest of
right.
their life. They don't even
Mhm.
let you call them by their name. They be like, doctor, they'll tell you, they'll correct you. So
Right.
all of those years, those hours, that time,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
education, that traveling,
That's
that having
right.
to be with your mother whether you wanted to or not, and she told you, we got to work today, and you like, I want to be with my friends.
Right. Right.
That was preparation to be a master pioneer. And I wish that Anita would do more promoting it as it should be,
Mm-hmm.
because then the younger people would respect it and want
Mm-hmm.
to be a master pioneer. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we need to
Mm-hmm.
make
Mm-hmm.
happen, that they are looking up to be where we are and take our whatever and let us be
Yes.
here, and then
Right.
they coming up,
They moving.
and the Master
Yep.
Pioneer Awards goes out to photographers. Where would we be without a Keston Duke? Where would,
Absolutely.
where
Yes.
would we be without a
Yes.
Keston Duke and all of those
Yes.
times when we were in the photo sessions?
Yes. And he was everywhere. Yes.
Everywhere. And in those sessions, sitting there waiting to be published with our 6 models that we were up all night doing, braiding hair. Oh
Yes.
my God.
Yes.
Oh my
George
goodness.
Stringer from
Come on, bring them out.
yes. And
Yes.
Reggie Allen from Salon Profiles and
Eric Von Lockhart.
yes.
I could name, we could go down the list of who helped us and who we provided the models for them to do their craft. So it was a work, and if we're going to have an award ceremony, you see like the Oscars and all of them, they go down to production,
Mm-hmm.
best artists, new artists,
Yes.
at some point we have to get to that
Mm-hmm.
so that our work is not done in vain.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Because it's our work.
That's right. That's definitely ours. I wanted to ask you too about your training program. My hair is beautiful.
It's my baby. Oh my gosh. It's my baby. So my hair is beautiful is it's a mentoring,
Mm-hmm.
actual mentoring workshop. And it's thanks for asking about it because I told her about it. Because she wanted to talk to me for 3 minutes. So I talked to her about that for 3 minutes.
yes.
But
Okay.
anyway,
That's
My Hair is Beautiful is a mentoring workshop for young girls between the ages of 5 and 18. And I inspire, educate, and empower young girls to love themselves by what they see in the mirror,
mm-hmm.
to follow their dreams, and to create jobs for themselves and or to help support them in whatever it is they want to do. So I have this workshop. It is a free workshop. This is my give back. I give it back to out my pocket. I give it first to my clients' children because daughters, because I don't do sales and I don't do discounts. I don't do birthdays. I don't do none of that. When
Mm-hmm.
you schedule with me, you paying for my service. We're not having no holiday sale. Ain't no sale going on. You know, but I do have this opportunity to mentor your daughters. Like most people don't even care about your children.
yeah.
Why I do it is because while we're healing adults, like
Mm-hmm.
we now are re-educating adults to love themselves. But if you think about it, when we're re-educating adults to love themselves, who's telling the children to love themselves? So the community has to do that because that's our culture.
Mm-hmm.
Our culture is that the community steps in and raises the children and helps the children become who they need to be. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my give back. And I give it back once a quarter. And I started it in New York City. Go figure. I lived in Arizona, but I had the opportunity to start it at the Mary J. Blige Center
Mm.
for Women in
Mm.
in Yonkers.
Oh
And
wow.
and I love Mary J. Blige. Honestly, I thought I was going to meet her, but
it's
that didn't
coming.
happen.
It's coming. It's
But
coming.
that didn't happen. But the opportunity did. The
mm-hmm.
opportunity to mentor. I mentored 15 girls at that center every month. So I traveled from Arizona to New York once a month. And what I did was I created, my cousin created a creed for them that they had to say. And we also um, told stories. Like I asked mentors to come and speak to the girls, like from all kinds of careers, dentists, lawyers, makeup artists, skincare, hairstylists, whatever, to mentor young girls and talk to them through adversity. So they all had to tell some kinds of hardship in their walk to success because everything ain't as quick as Instagram.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
It's a long walk. And so in order to kind of lure them in, I created these swag bags. So I would go to Target and buy deodorant, baby powder, um, hand sanitizer. I would have products, send me samples to put in the bags, pencils. I have pencils that say my hair is beautiful, bracelet, but I would get things that cost $1, shampoos, any little thing that cost $1 that they could put in their purse to make sure that they smell good. They brush their teeth. Sometimes it was toothpaste, toothbrushes, whatever made them responsible. And I would give it in a swag bag to them at the end. But they had to stay for the whole time. They couldn't come in and just get it. So it developed. I started in 2011. So last year I did it here. I got 75 girls and paid NPR. And because it created such a stir out here because I do it once a quarter and it's free and the girls come and I have like I do Sister Sledge's hair. Some of the ladies are Sister Sledge and one of their daughters, she the confidence mentor. So she does the catwalk and they have to walk. But the best thing about this workshop is that the parents have to stay and they have to participate in it with their daughters, and they have to listen to what their daughters say because the daughter, it's a dialogue. And I did it at Talia Wajir. She had me 3 years. It's hard to travel with it because it's really free, and that's the basis of the workshop. And it's hard for me myself as a small businesswoman to travel free, but I've done it. It's been across the country. I've done it. Yeah. So right now I'm trying to figure out how I can do it virtually and send girls their swag bags.
Yeah.
And so I have some young girls out here working with me because I'm not technically savvy. So they know how to do the Zoom and they just say, Miss Arlette, this is what we're gonna do. And I say, all right, baby.
Okay.
It's beautiful. That's my life work. And that, if hairstyling and hair locks by Arlette is not my legacy by God's um, vision, then my hair is beautiful would be my legacy. Because it's definitely a give back. And I do believe I love the young girls. Remember when I saw your daughters?
Yeah.
I was like, these girls are fabulous. I was taking video and doing that. They had their own show. They was interviewing each other. I'm like, do you remember?
Yes.
I love them.
Yes.
I love the young people because the young people, we're in their hands.
That's
and
right.
if their hands are not right,
that's right. I enjoy this being a mother and being a mother of a young person today. Because they are different.
their whole perspective is different. My daughter, she's now 21, like I said. She gives it to me. And I don't mean she doesn't give me a hard time. She's a great child. But her conversation definitely makes me think.
Yes, definitely.
Like, and It's just different.
Yeah, it is. They do make you think. It's like having these little, almost like these little miniature adults,
Yeah.
already, behind you. So it's been great. I'm enjoying them still. They are interesting.
Yeah, interesting. And I said to my daughter, I said, what's interesting is that you guys hold these devices all day. And a lot of times we get annoyed at you holding the device all day. But when we have a conversation with you, it makes sense.
Hmm.
You're not talking foolishness. So
Right.
a lot of the times when they hold the devices, they are researching things. So I noticed that I could be talking about something and my daughter is Googling it to
Hmm.
see if what I'm saying is right. Right. So you don't believe me? She says, well, I just have to research to make sure that I know and I understand or whatever. And I'm like, all right. But it makes me think that back in our days, we had the encyclopedia. We had to turn pages
Right.
or go into
And
some
they weren't,
textbook.
it was a book. It wasn't moving. So the internet is always changing information, adding, you know what I mean? So that's just like whenever they came, we had the same encyclopedias the whole childhood.
And listen, your mother had to have enough money to buy more,
Yes.
because
Right. Not they
they
wouldn't
would
sell all the alphabet. I think you had to buy like A to K first and then
And then they updated after a while. They give you a book that updated some stuff,
right.
but
That's
that was
right.
our Google, you
Mhm.
know.
That's
And
right.
now that they're more aware, and not only that, they're more accepting of people.
Mhm.
So their friends could be homosexual.
Yes, and it's nothing.
It was nothing to them.
Yes.
And Lord, if I say something wrong, like faggot, Lord, don't let me say faggot. I'm in jail. My daughter's like, go in your room and close the door. Can't
That's
say that.
true. Yeah.
She's like, no, that is disrespectful, mommy, and no. And I'm like, that's what I know. Well, there's a different times. You're not out here talking like that these days. Child, honey, she educates me. But like I said, that's what it is. Like the evolving of even
Yes.
our industry,
Yes.
but we still have a responsibility if we're going to be of this industry that
Mhm.
we created, that we started, that we made popular. We made this popular.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Because you remember when your clients came in and they were so afraid to go natural or start their locks, like you said in the beginning. And we
Mhm.
had to comfort them and coax
Yes.
them into say, and the first thing they would say is, I don't know how I look, how I'm going to
Mhm.
look. And I say, you're going to look like God wanted you to look. Because
Right.
this is what you really supposed to look like. We ain't born with straight hair.
That's right. That's
You
right.
born with hair.
Mhm.
So this is what it is. So it's so interesting, and I love what we're doing
Mhm.
or what we have done. But I just would like to see us be able to. Kafele said that as well. Create the standard,
Mhm.
like for this industry that we actually started in the
Yeah.
magazines and in the salon chairs.
Yes,
You
yes. And I think we're doing that. I think it's definitely a process. Um, we already know we did it, but we're just progressing, and doing stuff as much as we can, each of us, to get to that point where
get to that.
we are, creating the standards of what's happening. Because, now it's different too with like YouTube and things of that nature. I remember my clients would send me like a picture of a style that they wanted, and then they would send me like a YouTube video, and I'm like, "Why are you sending me this? I don't need no YouTube
Right.
video."
I know. I know. I
But
know.
it's
And I would
like,
say, they do that to me as well, still, because, I'm still behind the chair. As you saw when we talked the other day, I was still
Mm-hmm.
working, but you send me a picture, I'll say, yeah, I can execute that, but it probably won't look like that because I didn't do that. You know what
Right.
I mean? I can do
Exactly.
this according
Mm-hmm.
to me and my perspective and how much hair
That you
I'm
have.
working with,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Right.
So it's very much a dialogue. We are so, we are so important
Mm-hmm. Yes.
as
Definitely.
stylists.
Mm-hmm. That's
You know,
very
I
true.
was saying to my client, she came in, and because she couldn't get to me during the quarantine, because people were asking me if I was doing hair while I was closed, and I was like, no, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting home, okay?
Right. Right.
And she said, well, Miss Arlette, my hair is a rat's nest. And I said, we got to stop talking like that about our hair.
Mm-hmm.
We got to start talking positive when it comes to our hair. It made me feel bad.
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
look, I love hair in its kinkiest form. You know, even when it's tangled, my
Mm-hmm.
objective is to get it untangled without tearing it out. You know what
Right.
I mean? So
Yes.
I'm there taking my time. And sometimes when I'm doing it, if I hear, when I'm combing hair, if I hear hair pop, I say, oh, I'm sorry. And my clients be like, oh, no, you're fine. I said, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you. Sorry. I'm sorry. Because my objective is to care for that
Yes.
strand, not
Yeah.
try to pull it out. You know,
Right.
that's the passion I have. Is
Mm-hmm.
that I want to make sure that I'm caring for your hair so that I can't hear it pop unless it's absolutely necessary. So my detangling skills are immaculate. My whole
Mm-hmm.
goal is not to have any hair in the comb.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
That's beautiful. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you
yeah,
today. It's just been a really great interview.
thank you.
Uh, and our
I
time is
love
up.
you.
I love you too. I love you so much.
I love you. And tell your mother I love her too.
I will. I will.
Love my Amazon.
Well, next week I'm gonna have Susan Perkins on the show.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and we were together following up behind my mother and Diane back in the day, and we got our award that's the same year,
Right,
2017. So I'm
right.
really excited
When I
about
host,
that. Yes, the one you hosted. Oh my God. I was talking to Marion on the show last week, and I'm like, yeah, and she is the host and of the show. And I think I said something like you hosted all of them. She was like, I don't think she hosted all of them. I was like, oh, well, I don't know why I just feel like she did.
did too. I
Oh,
did too. But yeah, that was great. And where we had it, I used to go to that school for ballet. I used to go there when
mm,
I was a little girl, so it was like a 360, very
yeah.
good. Um, Susan, oh my gosh, Susan Peterkin Bishop, who the Natural Hair Industry Convention.
Hmm.
What a wonderful, first of all, she's a wonderful lady.
She
You know what
is.
I mean? And
Yes.
she's very serious and she's very passionate about what she's doing now with
Yes.
hair loss and the industry convention. The industry convention is the most wonderful, comfortable place to be.
Mm,
We are always so happy and excited to be there. I'm
mhm.
so happy that they started it, her and Angela Walker. You're going to have a good time talking to her. She's amazing.
Oh,
Did you
I'm
talk
so
to Diane yet?
excited. I haven't talked to Diane yet. I've still got her on the list.
Yeah,
But
that's our fearless leader. She hates when I say that, but Diane is our fearless leader.
she
That's what I feel
definitely
about her.
is. She
But
really just
you,
made such an impression on me. When
oh,
I was coming
yeah,
up in locks, I fell in love with her, and I was like, "This is it. We're doing this. This is it." So yeah, she is definitely our fearless leader. Yes.
she is our fearless leader, and she's so dynamic, and she is such a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
And she's such a good influence. And she definitely cares about each and every one of us
Yes.
in this industry. She will check up on you. She's just great. And Susan as well, Marion as well. Actually, I used to try to look at Marion's salon when I was starting my career. I couldn't see nothing because she had all kinds of shades and stuff over and stuff. But Marion is also a person who has inspired me to be in this industry, you know?
Yes.
And so that's my girl. She's my soul. So all of you, I have a story about every one of you. Every one of you.
See, now I feel like I got to bring you back on the show so you can tell us the stories.
Tell me, girl, I love to talk.
Okay.
I love to talk. And anytime you need a filler, you can use me. It's okay. I can
Okay.
be used.
I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to
I
hold
love
you to
you.
it. I love
I
you
just
too.
wanted to end, I don't know, I just wanted to end this because, like I said, your sister has a product,
Hmm.
right? And I'm an
Yes.
affiliate of her product. And Nadra is another, she's a master pioneer as well.
Yes.
And she's such a sweet girl.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, just talking to her, she calms me down.
Mm.
It's like, hi, not many people could calm me down. She does.
Yes.
And I just wanted to shout her out on Evolving Textures and the
Oh,
old
yes.
gel. And
Thank
if you want
you.
to,
Yes.
I'm an
Well, she's
affiliate
going to
with
be
Big
on the
Girl Hair
show
Loss.
too. So you have to stay tuned to see that show because she'll be on the show
Okay.
too. We'll be doing our sister talk.
Oh, that's good. Are you going to do with your mom too, all three of you?
No, we should. We were talked about doing that. I just wanted to get, as many master pioneers as possible before I start doing the variations of the three of us and
Okay.
stuff like that.
Okay.
But we
All right.
have talked about doing the three part. That would be really fun because it's so like Nadra and I are 9 years apart. So really it's a big kind of generational thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when she came into the business, I was kind of on my way to Hawaii, so, and I remember, kind of preparing her to be in the business, although I didn't know what I was preparing her for at that time. But I did remember, I was like, okay, it's time to teach you everything, so we
Yeah.
had that little point. And just, it's just going to be an interesting conversation because it's just such a long journey for the three of us.
And that's what's amazing.
Hmm.
That's what's amazing because my daughters, they don't want to do any hair. If I talk about hair, they talk about something. They don't
Hmm.
even talk about hair with me. And it hurts my feelings a little bit because I'm like, well, if something happens to me, who's going to take my legacy, you know?
Right, right.
But
Well, we used to say that too, but we just said it way younger. Then next thing you know, it's like, I want a car. She's like, girl, you better pick up on them brakes.
you guys are smart, child.
Uh,
Yeah.
so before we leave everybody, because we have gone way over the time, but I do want to
Okay.
remind everybody to subscribe and share and like.
Yes.
Aloha, and we will see you next week with Susan. Thank you so much again, Arlette, for coming on the show. I love you so much.
I love you too. I love you from my heart and my head.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So
And my
until next time, and
fingers.
you're right, my fingers too. Until next time, have a beautiful day. Aloha.
Aloha.